Hey everyone, I'm Bill. I'm with Cali Moto TV. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to COTA Racetrack here in Austin, Texas, where today we have a versus that you guys have requested for some time now. The 2020 Ducati Streetfighter versus the 2019 Tuono Factory. Today has been an amazing day. First of all, thank you, Aprilia and Zach with Eurocycles, for making today happen. It's just been an epic day. But today we've got both of these out on track for you guys. We're gonna get some footage between the two. I'm gonna talk about the majors between the differences between why I love this and why I love this, why I don't love this and why I don't love this. So we're really gonna get these out on track, talk about both of them, and then we'll get them back here and we'll kind of give you guys my pick of which one I felt better on here at COTA. So stay tuned. Of course, do the normal. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, smash the like button, and then ring that bell notification because we've got a lot of epic content on these two bikes. So stay tuned. But let's get out on track and see how these things do versus each other. All right, guys, here we are with the Aprilia Tuono. Next up, the Ducati Streetfighter. But let's get this thing out for a little buzzy buzz out here on track. Little Banshee. So let's go ahead and let's talk about one of the things that I dislike about this bike is the fact that the mode button. It's probably my biggest pet peeve about this bike, and the reason is because there's one button that historically on motorcycles that you don't touch when the bike is running, and that's the starter button. And that button is the button that Aprilia decided to use for the mode button. So it's my biggest gripe about the bike. There's some fine things that are a bit different that we'll talk about out here. Some of the things I like, some of the things I don't like. But all in all, you know, these bikes, they're going to be for each of you guys. You know, there's going to be people that really love the Streetfighter. The Streetfighter is definitely much more power-packed. You know, the delivery is a bit more aggressive on that. There's a lot more to the Ducati than the Aprilia. Now, I've talked about on the street when I was on the Aprilia that the let's see if we're going around, that the suspension is better on the Ducati. So we're going to see how that goes today and see if that continues. But you know, it just feels like the Ducati is got a little bit better suspension setup, but the Aprilia's got a great suspension setup. So let's get out and talk about this now. For you guys that are new to the channel, while you're hitting that subscribe button and smash the like button, ring that bell notification, because we've got a full build kind of coming on this thing, so stay tuned. But we do have carbon fiber wheels on this thing, which I can already feel feels so good. And the Ducati has carbon fiber wheels, so we're matched up well. We're tuned and deleted over here. We have a full cat delete and we have a full exhaust and tune from Shiv at Open Flash over here. The brakes are the only thing that is, well, the brakes are the next thing up to upgrade on this bike. The brakes are not quite up to par. They're a little smushy, kind of like the Streetfighter was when I first got it. Now, I'll tell you, the Streetfighter has got way better brakes now. But these brakes just aren't quite up to snuff. So let's try to get around some of these guys and get this thing opened up. definitely braking much earlier on this bike compared to the Streetfighter. But I'm not gonna knock that right now, because I think the Streetfighter would have had kind of the same issues stock. The gearing seems to be off different than this. He seems to be geared a little bit more down on this. But we'll see. We'll get into it a little bit more. So we got an engine blower here. Hopefully we didn't lay down oil on the track. Yep, red flag. All right, well, it's been tough today, you guys. It's been tough. So, the suspension feels really actually quite good out here on track. We're running the same tires. We're running the same wheels. And I'll have to say, right here, right now, I feel like the Tuono's got a little leg up on that Streetfighter. My buddy Rob's got a Streetfighter, and he says that thing just now that we've got that thing tuned and it's woken up, and it's just, that bike is kind of almost hard to ride, because there's so much power and so much torque on that bike. This has definitely got a better delivery to it. Yeah, I'm gonna really enjoy this thing when the brakes are here. But being able to push this thing now has changed my mind a little bit about it. And now I get why the reviews are so about this Tuono Factory. Because out on the street, that Ducati hands down has this bike. But that's because I think that the suspension adapts better to the roads, where this thing, it doesn't need to work as much, right? Because we've got a smooth surface. So the suspension is really actually working quite well on the track. So let's go in, let's see, hopefully we can get back out, but I've got a little change of heart with this bike right now, and it'll surprise some of you guys, but so hopefully we can get back out. This guy blew, it looks like he blew his motor, but it looks like they're looking at the track, so it was early on, so let's hope that we can get back out and continue to talk about the 2019 Aprilia Tuono Factory. All right, guys, well, that wasn't bad for a quick little intermission. So I think we'll get back out for just another minute or two. And a couple other Tuonos with us. I'm a little bit impressed, so I really want to get this thing opened up a little bit more and working just a teeny bit more. But I think the suspension, you know, on track, I'm really actually enjoying this quite a bit. This thing just turns so nice now. So I did get to ride this out at Thunder Hill, and not for very long, but man, it's just so weighty to turn this thing. And now it really turns so much different. So very nice. All right, so let's get some hot sauce on this thing. The wind protection's much nicer. Obviously, we talk about the wind protection on the Streetfighter, and we know that there isn't any. So to have a little bit of wind protection is nice on this thing. It definitely doesn't push me back as much on those back straight and up on the front straight where we're heading. The ergonomics on both of them are actually really good on both of them. I mean, I think you're a little bit more upright on this bike than the Streetfighter. I think the Streetfighter's got a little bit more aggressive stance to it. But having this thing on the track is comfortable. It's very comfortable, and because of the lower ergonomics of this thing, kind of being on RSV4, there's not much difference from the footrest on this than the RSV4, where the Streetfighter, the footrest is much different. So it's a bit different. Yeah, I don't know what some of these guys are doing here. Clear of some of this traffic. Wow. Well, this is a f***ing shit show. That's a these guys are f***ing out of their mind. I don't curse much, but you jackasses that don't know how to fucking ride. Shit show. that's exactly what makes me not want to ride on track. That exactly right there makes me not want to ride on track. I'm sorry to vent, but fuck people. All right, so I really do apologize for the long rant there, but it's just riding on track for years. I've seen riders like this all the time, and this is how people get hurt. So I apologize for the rant. The Aprilia was really an amazing ride. I really had a good time on the Aprilia at COTA, and a huge, again, thank you to Aprilia and Eurocycles for getting this out here. Now, as you guys may have seen in some other videos at COTA, we had some audio issues, and this is the most major fail. The vlog of the ride on the Streetfighter did not record the audio vlog, so unfortunately we lost that audio. So I'm in the office today, we're doing a little voiceover, and I wanted to give you guys kind of an opinion of the bike and what I really thought of this bike on track, because it's going to surprise you guys, because I praise this thing so much on the street. I absolutely love this bike on the street, but here on the track, the bike is just, it's just an animal. It's just an animal. Over 200 wheel horsepower on this tight technical track. You know, 20 turns in 3.4 miles is crazy. So the one thing I'll say about this Ducati is it just sings like crazy. This thing sounds absolutely amazing. So here as we go down the first back straight, let's just hear this thing sing for just a quick second. Absolutely love it. So the Streetfighter, wow. So I've always talked about how much I love this thing, and I still love it. And I think on the street comparison, which I still really want to do a versus comparison with you guys, or for you guys, with the Streetfighter and the Tuono. But what I've found riding both of the bikes separate is that the Tuono factory suspension for the street just isn't dialed in as well as the suspension on the Ducati on road. Now, when we got out on track and we got on a smooth surface, this Ducati and the Aprilia just felt absolutely wonderful. But when we get out in the real world and the road, that's where the Streetfighter really shines. So I will say that in the track environment, the Streetfighter, this is probably the only thing that the Streetfighter was maybe better on. Outside of that, really, the Streetfighter didn't do much for me out on track. It was actually quite a workout. Now, when I talked about the Tuono and wondering why the journalists and all of the reviews really always pick this Tuono, now I understand why they picked this Tuono and why they say this Streetfighter is such a hard bike to ride on track. It's so demanding, because it is. It's just because you're putting so much horsepower to the wheel, and you're not in that sport bike position, that it's definitely a harder bike to ride, especially on a tighter technical track like COTA, where you've got 20 turns in 3.5 miles. It's long, it's a workout. The Tuono just really felt a lot better. Now the Streetfighter's lower end, and I talked about the lower end of the Tuono, where it's basically just an RSV4 foot peg position. The Streetfighter's foot peg position's a little bit more relaxed. So I feel, although on the Streetfighter I do have Bonamici rear sets, and I'm gonna probably adjust them to more of a Panigale style, because how they are right now, they really are just, it doesn't feel right. It's not sport bike enough So on track, the Tuono felt better on the lower end than the Streetfighter, which gave me a little bit better weighting the peg controllability and just kind of body position controllability. It just allowed me to be in a better position, if that kind of makes sense. As far as the upper controls, I really actually like the Streetfighter upper controls better than the Tuono. The Tuono feels a little bit more laxed from the waist up, where the Streetfighter is a little bit more aggressive. It's a little bit more forward. So you kind of get that sport bike feel a little bit better on the Streetfighter. Now, we talked the difference of brakings. Obviously, I've upgraded the brakes on the Streetfighter. I think that the brakes stock are pretty on par with each other, but they're not quite on par for what I like. So we obviously upgraded on the Streetfighter. Here we have the RCS 19 Corsa Corta front master. We also have Ferodo brakes, brake air scoops, and we have Brembo rotors in the front. So that definitely makes a big difference of the braking and why this basically brakes much better than the Tuono. The Tuono, we have plans to basically put the same master on the Tuono, so stay tuned for that. The wheels, both of them have the carbon fiber BST wheels, shiny over on the Tuono, and then the Ducati obviously has the matte ones, but outside of that, basically, we're running the same exact tires on both tests. We're basically running almost the same pressures. I've got a little less tire pressure in the Streetfighter just because I was riding it a little bit harder, and we got a little bit more horsepower behind that Streetfighter. So we got the wheels and setup is basically both the same. We're running a 520 setup, a 530 setup on both of the bikes for a chain, so both of the chain delivery is pretty well. But the sprocket size for the Tuono felt more like it was up a tooth in the front, where the Ducati is on the Panigale. From the Panigale to the Streetfighter, it's down a tooth, so it's a little bit more aggressive, right? Where the Tuono is, I think, up a tooth. And I almost think that I've tried to go down another tooth on the Streetfighter, and it was just bonkers. So I actually think I'm gonna go up another tooth to Panigale gearing on the Streetfighter, because I think it's gonna make it more rideable and more enjoyable. So again, when we're talking about 200 and something horsepower to the wheel, it really makes a big difference with the gearing. So I feel like the gearing was definitely a little too short on the Streetfighter for COTA. Again, we talked about the suspension, I really like the suspension. The power delivery between the two differences is just, that's where the Streetfighter, that's where I decided I didn't like the Streetfighter on the track. And in this review, I don't like the Streetfighter because of the power delivery. It's just so snappy. It's just so right there. You're laying 200 horsepower to the ground immediately, and it's just so much. It didn't make it really fun to ride this bike out on track. So the handling, I mean, it's just the handling, the ergonomics of the swing arm being a little bit longer on the Streetfighter. It kind of made it nice, but this thing still, both the bikes really wheelie. The power delivery is great, but as you can see coming down the straight here, I just wheelied every time in second, third gear, because this bike just takes off. It's just crazy. One of the big complaints that I do have about the Streetfighter that I've talked about is the fuel consumption. Out on track, I got 2 sessions. That was 45 miles on the Streetfighter before I had to fill up on the tank of gas. So it was, this Streetfighter definitely goes through gas, and out on the street is probably my biggest complaint about it, because we're constantly looking for gas stations out on track, or out on the street. And on track, I constantly have to keep an eye on that fuel light, because when that fuel light comes on, I've only got about a gallon left, and it's not enough to get by a session. So I always have to keep an eye on that. But I just love this bike, I really do. But you guys would be a little surprised that the Tuono really took me for an amazing ride out in here in Coda, and I really enjoyed it. I really did. And let's just hear this Ducati sing one more time down the back straight, and then we'll give you guys my final conclusion on what I thought of the two side by side. Back. What an amazing day. We're at the end of the day, and I just came off track on the Streetfighter. Oh, what an amazing session. It was probably the best session of the day. Unfortunately, we kind of got gypped a little bit on the Tuono, but these bikes are just so great. There's quirks of each one of these that I like and I don't like. The Streetfighter, because there's so much power and it's so unlocked right now, I now understand why they say this is such a demanding bike to be ridden. On track, this is such a harder bike to ride than this bike. Out on the street, I disagree. I think that this is an easier bike and a better bike to ride on street than this. So today's tough because I really love my Streetfighter. But I think if I could have gotten that last session on this Tuono, I would have really spoken much higher about the Tuono, but I love the Tuono. Now I understand why all of the reviews name this the best bike, because today, as far as these ability for riding, comfort, the lower parts of the ergonomics of the bike, this is a better bike. This bike is just so much balls. It's just so crazy. It's hard. I mean, this thing just wheelies everywhere. And out of every corner, it's a second, third. So it's a very hard bike to ride. So I understand why everyone names this bike so well. I wish that they would take them more out on the street, because I think that this would get a little bit more credit. But today, I'm going to give it to the Tuono today, which is you Tuono guys, I know you're gonna love it, but I really think that this bike rode better today, and it was a shitty session that we were on, but I understand why this bike is such a good bike, because it's easy. It's so nice and just level. This bike is just such an animal. So I hope you guys are happy. The Aprilia Tuono Factory wins the Versus out here on the racetrack, but I will stand by my guns on the street. I'll take my Streetfighter over the Tuono on the streets, but I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, a huge shout out to Aprilia and Piaggio North America. Zach with Eurocycles, thank you for making this all happen. Wonderful event. If you guys haven't seen, we were on the RS660, so make sure you hit that subscribe button and smash the like button, and then ring that bell notification, because we have a lot of content on both of these bikes coming. We have some stuff coming to the brakes on the Tuono. We have another Ducati coming to the collection. We may have another Aprilia coming to the collection, so stay tuned. But thank you guys for sticking around, and leave your comments down below and let me know what you guys thought of the ride here at Coda. But we will see you guys next video. Bye guys.